Hi, and welcome to another episode of Sustainment TV. I'm your host, David McDonald, and before we get into today's video, please feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It'll help the channel to grow and improve upon what I do. So, without further delay, let's get right into today's video. All right, Sustainment TV, as promised, I have a very special guest for you today. She's a drummer and percussionist extraordinaire. She's a producer, songwriter, rapper, lyricist. She's been dubbed by many as the modern day Sheila E. Would like to welcome a very special guest, Camellia Akhamie Kies. How you doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing well. I came across your content on Instagram. On Instagram, you're sole proprietor of Akhamie Music, and I said, you know what, I gotta reach out, and finally glad we were able to have this interview session. So I definitely appreciate your time today.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here. Just an honor to speak with you and chat a little bit about music and life.
I know that as I was going through your information and everything, saw that you were a previous military musician. So we definitely share that trait. Thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you, and thank you too.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get right into it. Who inspired you to want to be a drummer? I know, I did marching band in high school and whatnot, and typically, the girls would do other things, and every now and then you'd have a girl that was interested in percussion, drums, whatnot. I mean, who inspired you to be a drummer?
I was really young. I was about 5 years old when I saw the drums being played at church by my cousin, and it's one of my first memories. I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And it was just like this kind of deep drive, passion to learn everything I could possibly learn about the instrument. So I went to my parents and I was like, hey, I want to play. And they were just like, well, you don't really know how to play. I was 5 at the time. So 5-year-old going to your parents like, hey, this is what I want to do. And they're just like, well, drums are expensive, they're loud. But it was there from a very young age. And I just, every Christmas was like, I want a drum set. And I was about 13 when my mom broke down and finally bought me one. But prior to that, every school music program, band class, symphonic band, even starting as early as elementary school, I was learning how to read music. I was, involved in anything that I could possibly. I was playing on buckets with pencils and pens way before I would make drum sets out of books and, anything I can get my hands on, always making a beat. So it was very early for me. And that was, it was, I just remember telling people like, I want to play drums. And I thought it was so foreign that people didn't even know what it was. It was like the drums. They're like, oh, the drums are cool. I'm like, oh, wow, they actually know what this amazing instrument is. But after my parents bought me a set, it was over. Every day I was practicing for hours. Eventually I started taking lessons with a guy named Miles Overton from the Army Perching Zone. And he kind of just, helped me with reading and mallet percussion, all the melodic stuff that a lot of drummers don't really get into because drums and percussion is such a wide range of instruments. So he was kind of introducing me to like, oh, here's the vibraphone. Oh, tambourine technique. Oh, hand percussion. It was like just a massive amount of information where you're just like, oh wow, this goes so much further than the snare drum and the drum set. So yeah, that's a very long-winded answer, but yeah, drumming was early on for me.
So. Oh no, definitely all relevant, all good information. I know you mentioned being exposed to drums in the church. I know I watched your video on how to play. I think it's like a praise set or something. I think that's how it was. Yeah.
Praise break, shout music.
Good stuff. What's your creative process
like? Recently, since I've been writing a lot more music and trying to create my own songs, the creative process for me is it's just continuous. I can have an idea just by hearing someone talk about something, and that can stem a rhythm, or I can write down, I always have my phone, I have lyrics, the beginning of songs, probably like 20 different songs that I'm working on. So the creative process for me is just, it's constantly evolving, constantly pulling inspiration from everything around me. So a lot of times with having a little son, you know, it might be hard to sit down and dedicate time to practicing and or exploring, you know, my creativity. But sometimes it's just taking a note. It's just writing down something really quick. It's just quickly recording a melody I just kind of heard or was inspired by. So yeah, that's the process for me.
You know, between your military career and then the things that you've done after the fact, or well, even before the military and definitely after, all out of all the venues that you performed at, what would you say has been your favorite venue to perform at?
I guess the most memorable would be recently. That was back in 2019 when I was on tour with Latin Grammy artist Boyka, and we were doing the Newport Jazz Festival. That was pretty amazing. Just the whole experience, you know, so many amazing artists were there. And it was just like, you like pass by and you're just like, wait, no, seriously. Like it was just so cool. Like people you follow, like I met Terrion Gully there, like this amazing, you know, jazz drummer. And he came up to me. And at first he was just like, you know, you play so great. And I was just like, hold on, what? I was like, hold on. I was like, what? I've been watching you since I was a little kid. And he was just like, you're still a little kid. It was great. But that was one of my most, I guess, recent and most memorable. But I've played all over the world: Australia, Japan, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore. So it's been a true journey, a musical journey. I'm just really grateful for all the opportunities that I have to play and share music.
Music is, you know, definitely a universal language. You know, no matter what language you speak or what country you live in, you know, in terms of interacting with others, you know, what's been the best music advice that you've been given?
The best music advice, I would say, tap into your own creativity. You know, you can pull inspiration from other musicians, but it's kind of, at the end of the day, we all have a very unique sound, as unique as our voice. And so like anyone can play an instrument, you know, if you learn the basics, if you have the passion for it, obviously the commitment. But I think it's really just tapping into what makes you unique, because when you play an instrument, it's a reflection of who you are. So that's my biggest advice, is especially if you're really serious about music, it's dig deeper into who you are and share that.
Has the pandemic had any impact on your recording or live performance schedule?
Yes, definitely. Actually, in a positive way. The shutdown, when it happened, like, so 2020 rolled in, and I had all these plans and goals to create an album. I was going to start writing music. I had never written a song prior to that. I'd never written lyrics, and the whole shutdown happened. And I was just like, well, how am I going to, you know, actually record this to the quality or level? You know, how am I going to rehearse, practice with musicians? So I kind of just dug deep in on myself, and I just continued to do what I said I was going to do, and, you know, just believing that it was going to happen. And every day I was like, the album's already done. I don't know how, but it is. And so it was like a lot of faith, a lot of trust in God, and believing that it was going to happen, even though I could not physically see it. I just had the vision. So with the pandemic, it was just kind of like, all right, you know, write these lyrics, continue to write, taking beats, taking melodies I was coming up with, and just doing everything, just trying to slowly piece it together. And I just believed that everything was going to fall into place. And towards like around like September, like I had a lot of the songs written. I had my friend Sarah, who I work with, still currently she's the vocalist. I was sending her music, and I called the studio. I'm like, hey, I know it's, you know, COVID, blah, blah, blah. And they were just like, no, we're open. And I was like, roger that. So I was like, yeah, when we booked the studio, we went, we recorded some vocal stuff, came back, did a full band, and then the album came out in November 2020, Thanksgiving Eve.
You know, and it's you know, I guess the funny thing is, like, you're like the fourth like recording artist, musician I've presented that question to, and you've had the same response, you know, in terms of the pandemic as a whole being a positive thing, because I mean, you know, new technologies and formats were kind of, you know, had to be implemented with music. I mean, you know, people, it's almost like you know, people do modular home building. It's like people were doing like modular album compiling. So it's
yeah, totally.
Yeah. Take a little bit of time to tell our audience. I mean, are there any recording projects you currently have in the works that you're able to share any info on?
I put a lot of my newer projects on my SoundCloud. Okay. There is one song I'm in the process. It's almost done, so I'm gonna probably send it off to get mixed and mastered probably here within the next few weeks. But it's do you want me to play it via my computer, or like you just want to be directed to where you can find it and listen to it?
No, I don't know how the audio would cut through. I would say, you know what, you could play you know, 20 seconds whatever on the computer. Would it take a long time to queue up?
No, I don't think so. But if it takes too long, I'll just stop the process. But yeah, it's let me see. It's a song. It's called "I Am,"
okay.
And it's supposed to be like some. You know, there's a lot of people have a lot of negative self-talk. So this is supposed to be like some positive reinforcement. Like I believe that when you say, "Man, I'm so stupid, I'm so dumb," blah, blah, blah. When you say that negative stuff over and over again, your subconscious mind is taking it in. So I'm like, why not make music that's gonna tell all the great things that you are? Yeah. I am beautiful, I'm smart, I'm you know, caring, loving, like all that, blessed. So that's kind of what this song is. It's just like, let's put some positivity, let's put some positive affirmations in the world so people can start saying that stuff over and over again. I don't need no stress. We live on different sides of this. We make us agree on self-defense. We still practice patience and kindness. The past our differences, love is timeless. God shows us grace and mercy every day. He shows us love when we don't obey. He's the example of who we should be. The different guidance to look. If anything, excellent, focus on that. Trust me. So that's pretty much a little snippet of it. The song just kind of, I don't know, the lyrics just flow. It's like I'm constantly just I'll be writing something and then I'll realize that, oh, hey, this goes with this, and I start piecing stuff together. And so I don't try to do it all at once. Sometimes it comes in bits and pieces, and then I realize that, oh, wow, after I sit down and look at everything, I'm like, oh, wow, this was the same thing I was thinking about that I wrote on a separate day. Yeah. So my friend Sarah, she's the vocalist that I work with, and I'll have to sing out stuff. Okay. And I'm not a singer, so I have to sing it out, send it to her, and then she'll, you know, kind of take her interpretation as far as like the lyrics, and then I piece it together. So that's kind of how the whole album kind of worked last year when I was working with musicians. I worked with a guy in Spain named Joseph, and he was one of the guitar players that, you know, we were just piecing stuff together. A lot of rhythmic, really rhythmic percussion, bass type of music. And yeah, it's been received really well. And it's actually been possibly for placement in a Warner movie coming up in 2021. So
okay,
yeah, it's just been a lot of little steps, and then something really big happens.
Yeah.
You know, consistently taking those steps.
Now would that be able to be found on SoundCloud or your YouTube?
That is the first ever heard for whoever just listened to that snippet. Like it hasn't been. It's not even on SoundCloud yet. I've been tweaking bits and pieces. I recently just changed the bass line for it about 4 or 5 days ago.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it's pretty close. And you know, you get to a certain point in the music where it's like you tweak stuff and it's like, I don't want to change it too much. I'm just gonna have to leave it alone or come back to it.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling like it's at the spot where it definitely, you know, has its peaks and valleys, and then, you know, then that's it.
All right.
Unless I could put like maybe a solo, I could put like a guitar solo in there or something. But for the most part, I think it's done. But you guys are the first to hear it. Congratulations.
Nice. Now, in terms of rapping, I mean, you know, where did your love for rapping come from, and you know, do you have a favorite rapper?
It's kind of, that was out of necessity last year, and I was like, man, I was writing stuff, and I wrote the lyrics for Sarah, sent it to her, and I was hearing more. I'm like, man, I'm hearing like a flow over this, and I'm like, man, I don't know a rapper, and I sent this to my cousin. And he didn't get back to me. And I was like, well, let me just try to do this. Let me just try to rap this, because I'm going to have to tell the person how I need it rapped anyway, or what the flow, what I want it to be. And I listened back to it, and I was like, oh, that sounds pretty good. And I sent it to Sarah, and she's like, yeah, you sound like Kanye West, like a girl version of Kanye. And I was like, well, that is a very big compliment. And I was like, well, thanks. So I kind of just been working on it. You know, I kind of just been listening back, kind of taking the same journey that I took with drumming, a lot of recording myself, listening back, tweaking the tone of my voice, saying words different ways that make them kind of hit a little bit harder than others, you know, and then listening to some of, you know, a lot of tiny desk concerts of people rapping and doing it in a live setting, and then seeing what they're doing and comparing and not comparing it in a sense like, oh, this person was better or worse, comparing in a sense of, oh, this is how you do it, and grabbing inspiration. So, yeah.
Because it's like, I know there were a couple of things you've done. It almost had like a spoken word edge to it, and then, you know, something, you know, there's something else I heard from it. It definitely was like, you know, like you know, commercial rapping, if you will. But yeah. That's cool. Oh,
so I want to know though, which one sounded more spoken word and which one sounded like traditional rapping?
It was you had to ask me that. I would have to go to your YouTube and see.
Yeah, because Sarah mentioned the same thing. She was like, sometimes she's like, man, that sounds like spoken word, and I was like, I could kind of get an idea, but like in my mind, I was like rapping the whole time. But she mentioned it, and then you mentioned it, so I'm interested to see which ones you think are the more spoken word.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. It's like I should have had your page queued up. That's what I should have done. Let's see.
It's okay. So you listened to the whole album, or you listened to a few songs?
I listened to about 4 of them. Let me see.
Sweet. Well, thanks for taking the time to listen to that. I appreciate it.
I mean, you know what? I went to your website because I'm on your YouTube now looking like, no, I went to the website and called.
Oh, okay. So you probably, I mean, it might have been All Glory to You, which is kind of like a really slow.
It was slower, yes, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, that one is so slow that it is almost like just spoken word, like just talking. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Because I'm going through your videos and I'm like, wait a minute. But yeah, it was from your website.
Okay, cool. Cool beans. Well, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for checking it out.
Oh no, that's cool. It's like I know when you put the video snippet of the Novapen demo, that was cool.
Oh, thanks.
Now
Yeah,
have you ever done any recording with those types of pans?
no, that was sent to me about 5 days ago. So okay. I just picked it up and I saw people playing it, and I kind of just took some of the technique that I saw people playing and what felt naturally for me to kind of do, and I recorded it and I was like, hey, this doesn't sound too bad.
Yeah, you're gonna have to incorporate those on the recording, but I'm sure you're already planning that. So.
Oh yeah, I'm totally gonna write a song featuring the hand pan for sure.
That's Are there any specific artists out there that you would like to collab with in the future, or that you already have plans to work with in the future?
I work with a lot of different people just through my Instagram and collaborating and such like that. But I mean, the people that I want to work with are like really, really like Bruno Mars, like Beyonce, So it's like, yeah, like the really, really big names, and just having I feel like I have such a unique style, and I feel like I could bring a totally different element to the music that they create. So, or their producers kind of help them create. But it would be cool. I love to work with all different styles and levels of musicians, because I think everyone has something really cool to bring to the table. And then when you start mixing people's like different styles, you get such a unique outcome, So that's like, for example, Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak, the thing they did together, and they've just been riding that single that they put out, and it's just so cool to see, those two guys come together and create something really cool.
Yeah, that's cool. It's I'm trying to think. It's like when I heard the pans, it put me in the mind of, I came back to the pans, but it put me in the mind of I know some like travel venues, in the Caribbean, you coming through a welcome center or something, you hear the drums. I know, as a matter of fact, at my children's school, when they were in high school, they had a I think they call it a, I don't know if it was a kettle drum brigade. It was some sort of drum brigade, and they had different versions of different sizes of it. It was always kind of like a common thing. So that's cool.
Sweet.
Yeah. Is there any specific message or theme you would like to tell the fans of Akhamie? What would you say?
My message, my mission is just to spread love, really. Like during the pandemic, during the shutdown, I did a whole lot of like soul searching within myself, a lot of working on myself, and that was really a representation of the album that I put out. I Choose Love is like love. You can choosing to love someone if they're mean to you, if they hurt you, blah blah blah. It's like a really big thing, because it's hard to do that. Yeah. Hey, Julian. Say hi. It's hard to do. It's hard to love someone, or to be patient and kind, and love not in a sense of like affection, but just love in a sense of like just nice. Like, what is love? Love is patient. Love is kind. Does not envy. Does not boast. So I was like taking that and applying that to almost everything, and it just literally changed how I think about almost everything, everyone. And so you just never know what someone's going through, what you know, why they just said what they said to you that made you upset, not acting emotionally, and just trying to, you know, responding with a calm mind and a calm heart, you know. So that's my goal. That's my message is it's all about love. And then the album that I'm working on 2 albums. One's an instrumental, and then one is gonna have some, you know, rapping and more traditional stuff in it. But both are gonna have the word love in it. Rhythmic love is what I'm thinking about calling the instrumental, because, you know, I think that's so important. So.
All right, so you have the final word. You have any final thoughts for the listening audience?
Final words, final thoughts for all the musicians out there. I would say, you know, stay consistent, practice, keep the faith, and just keep believing that whatever you want, you can have it. And it's just continuing to believe it, you know, and that's kind of what's been my driving force. And that's really that step of faith. It's like, well, I don't see it, I don't care. I'm still going to believe that it's going to happen. And so, yeah, that's my for musicians and non-musicians, really, whatever you want to do, you can do it.
We definitely thank you for your time today. Hope that something was said for our audience that's helpful, meaningful. Make sure you check out the links that I'll have posted in the description of this video. Thanks again for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please feel free to check out the links in the description to keep up with all the latest news on her music and her performance schedule. Thanks again for watching. Take care.